have a Saturday Stash Dive layout for you today, and I'm going to be using stars. So Megan and I, and you can check Megan's layout on her channel, and I'll have a link below in the comments, or the description section, so you can go check out her layout too. And like I said, we are using stars today. So we are digging in our stash to find star products. So, which stars are pretty easy, I think. I mean, in a way, though it was harder than I thought. So I am going to be using some paint with this stencil, and I'm using like a pearlized type of color from like with white paint, but it ends up being more translucent, which is really, it ends up looking really cool. But I'm mixing it with Cracked Pistachio, the Tim Holtz, the new ink, and I'm using the re-inker instead of like the ink pad. I bought that instead of buying the ink pad because I thought for me it would be a better investment and I can get more uses out of it. I can mix it with paint, I can mix it with modeling paste, I can use it on a pad to use stamping. So, or I could do splatters with it. So for me, that works. And I'm using the Tim Holtz blender because I've seen Oh Snap Gonzo, who is Sandy. I've seen her use that a lot with some of the paints and stuff, and I thought that maybe it would help. Now, I don't have a foam applicator yet. I just have the other ones, the felt ones, and it's really hard to use the felt with the stencil. I will say that it soaks up in the felt, the paint soaks up a lot, and I felt like I didn't have that much paint to begin with because I'd rather add more later than have way too much, because I mean, even with what I was doing, I had so much paint. I spent like over an hour just painting other stuff to use up my paint, because whenever I use paint, I'll try to like do a couple of projects at a time, which makes it a little bit more complicated if your flow is to do one layout at a time. But I find that helps me, just because if at one day I'm stuck, I can go through, see, oh, I have this paper with, dots on it or something, or a stencil with stars. I mean, I did this star background with the thought process that I was going to use it on this layout. So, but sometimes I don't do that. Sometimes I use a piece that I have made like a while ago. So for me, that works. I know that doesn't work for everyone, and that's cool too. So I'm just filling in some of the gaps because I don't want it to be too gappy. And at this point, I really have no idea how I'm going to use this piece of paper. And actually, I thought I was going to use another piece that I had made, and I cut it out of more stars, of multicolored stars. So I pulled out a whole bunch of papers, and I tried to pick a lot more older papers than newer papers, but I did mix some new in. So I'm using that gray back, the cardstock to back, and here I'm using some of that ring inker again, and I'm going to add a little bit of water because it's very concentrated. So anything that I use to ink the edges will be really, really dark, and where I like this color really dark, it's more of a teal color than maybe a minty color, which I think is the color that it's supposed to be, more of a mint teal type of color. But I'm just edging, and I'm adding a little bit more to the side so it is more watercolor maybe or something. I don't know. I usually don't use a dark color like this. Every once in a while I'll try to use like a black or something, but I always have a hard time because I feel like the dark colors like really make it hard to do that. But I don't know. It just feels like it impedes. But I really wanted to use a darker color because I thought that it'd be something a little different. And I found this paper, which is a Die Cuts with a View. It's from a pack. It's old. And of course, my ATG has to go. So I cut that out with the magic of photo editing. You don't have to see me refill. So here's that paper. And I had ended up adding just a couple of swipes of pink in it. So it kind of really brings it to life. And so this is after it's all dry. Actually, this is like the next day. I did the stencil the one night, and then the next day I finished it up. So I'm just going to ink the sides of this. And at this point, I still have no idea what I'm doing. I know what photo I'm going to use. I'm using a photo from the weekend. Me and my family, we went whale watching off the island. I live in Hawaii, if I don't know. Some of you may know, some of you may not, if you're newer to subscribing to me or watching, I should say, the Saturday Sash Dives. I live in Hawaii, and so we were going to go whale watching. This is whale season because it's the winter time, and they come in the warm waters, the humpback whales. Some of the other whales too, but a lot of humpback whales. And they come here and they have their babies and they feed their babies and then they go back up and eat in the summertime in Alaska. So we thought that this would be really fun. The kids are learning about sea life and science this year. And so we thought it would just be really fun to go out on a boat. And so this photo is of my kids and my husband. They're playing this hand game where, one person puts their hand on the top and then another person and then another person, and you just keep going. So we were returning back to the island after we had seen some whales, and so yeah. So I just really thought it was just a fun photo, and I wasn't able to get any pictures of the whales because they weren't coming up and jumping out. You could just see, a little bit of their backs or a little bit of their tail when they were diving under, and it's really hard to get those photos. So, in order to document this day, like a true scrapbooker would love to do, right? I just chose this photo because it really still says and shows the playfulness of our day. So, the kids had a ton of fun, and it was their first time on a boat, and so it was just fun. So this paper right there that I'm using is from Scraptastic. It is a exclusive paper that is, you can only, no, that one isn't. I was going to use that paper over to the side, that card. I was thinking of using their papers, but this came in a kit. It's Studio Tekturek, I believe. So, and it's like outline stars. It's really, really cool. It's just black and white, and I really thought that with that one background paper that is that blue and has that like paisley flourishy, which is very much vintage and not what I do anymore. But I really want to use those papers because I have those stuff in my stash, and otherwise I have, if I'm not going to use them, I should, get rid of them. So I'm trying to use what I can now. And, which is the whole purpose of using your stash. This is a tag that I had in my stash, and I just used blue, I think it's blue paint, just right on there on the stencil. And then I have these cork stars, and I was trying to figure out if I could use that tag anywhere else on the layout, and it just didn't work. But I did like it tucked there. So I really am limited. I tried not to use too much pattern paper just because of that one background paper. Even though I have the stenciled white, and because it's a lighter color, I really feel like it doesn't make it feel as busy. And actually, when I was making this, I had no idea if I liked this layout at all. So here's some Heidi Swapp Mistable arrows that I had from a kit. And I'm going to put those on. And I'm still trying to use that card because it has journaling lines and stuff. And actually, I end up not journaling on the front. I'm journaling on the back of my layouts. And sometimes I do that when I feel like the space is an awkward space to journal on. I will journal on the back of my layout so that if someone wants to know about it, about what's going on, they can. But really, in a lot of ways, it's a fun photo of my family. So like you can look at the layout and not need a story behind it, but it is fun to read a story behind it. So that's why I'm going to I have the journaling on the back. And I don't show you me doing the journaling. But, so I added some other DIY stars. And so here I have some Chickaditty stars. And these I got in a kit. And there is like a green color, like a gray color. And at this point, I think, oh, maybe I'll use my punch because I have this punch and I have some older papers. You know, I had this paper that had stars on it. Like, I pulled out quite a few papers with stars on it. It was just way too busy, and I really was trying not to overcrowd. So, but I kept this in because I thought, you know, a lot of times I think I enjoy watching other scrapbookers try something and then realize that it doesn't work. And really, you know, I used my punch, and it didn't take very long, really, to punch these out. I mean, the actual layout of me putting it together took less than an hour. So, I mean, doing the stencil took a little while, but wasn't too bad. But, you know, the day that I actually put everything. So I used 3. And later on in the layout, you're going to see I'm going to come back and I'm going to add some more stars to it in like a couple of minutes. Yeah, because I didn't like the way it turned out. So here I have some sequins from Studio Calico, and I'm just going to use these white ones. There's a wood grain and then a white. And I just thought it would be kind of fun. And this is pretty much where I decide that I don't want anything else because I really don't want to overcrowd it anymore. And I feel like it's already starting to get like crazy. And I really didn't think I liked this. So here I'm adding some more of these to where I had the paper ones, just because I didn't think the paper ones worked. But I didn't want to, so I add the stamp, and that is going to be my layout. And like I said, I really didn't care for this until I seen it, and I was watching me make it. And then I realized I really do like this. It's just really fun and really playful. And I mean, what a better way to use tons of stars that I have in my stash and then, you know, have a layout that I get to document, you know, a fun day.